I heard a story on the radio many years ago that has stuck with me. I've forgotten many of the details, but I'll recount it to you now generally. It was a Hindu story of a peasant woman who, though poor, had one very prized possession, a diamond earring set in fine gold. A brilliant family heirloom handed down from her great-great-grandmother. One day, while cleaning her meager home, the earring became dislodged, and it was lost. She missed it almost immediately and was heartbroken, to the point of being sickened. If you've ever had a similar experience, you know that feeling. That night, when her husband returned from the fields, he found her on her hands and knees, crawling on the ground in front of their dark house and sifting carefully through the dirt. He asked her for what she was looking. She explained to him that she'd lost her earring in the house. "Foolish woman," he scoffed. "If you've lost it inside, why are you crawling around and looking out here?" Tearfully, she sat up and pointed to the bright and full moon above. "Because, husband, this is where the light is." So, what does this old tale from India have to do with the vision for the future of agriculture? I find it quite instructive. First, we've lost something. Many things. Things much more precious than gems. We've lost our love and appreciation for good, wholesome, nutritious food. We've lost skills. How to garden. How to cook. Not heat things up or open packages. How to really cook. How to preserve food. How to farm. We've forgotten the skills around farming. And by the way, all of this going on around us, what Rastetter and his friends are talking about today, this capital and chemical-intensive industrial monoculture,
right,
which is feeding profit to corporations
right,
while serving up bullshit for the rest of us, is not farming. It's not farming. Treating animals like widgets and warehousing tens of thousands of them in buildings, lots, and cages, mired in and above their own waste, is not farming. So what else have we lost? We've lost our cultural memory around food, how real food looks, how it tastes, recipes. At this point, most of us, myself included, don't even know what we don't know. We've lost our rural communities, all the experiences, the opportunities, the relationships, and the values that they once bestowed on our society. We've lost soil, water, clean water, habitat, wildlife. I could go on and on. From a social or a natural perspective, from an abundance that we were handed, we've fashioned a wasteland. So those living next to livestock confinements have been especially big losers. They've lost everything I've just mentioned, plus an additional quality of life, the enjoyment of their property, value in their home, peace of mind, mental, physical, and emotional health. You know this list perhaps better than I do. And like the peasant woman, many of us are sickened, aggrieved by this incalculable loss. As dismal as all this is, I mention one more thing, which is perhaps the most important thing of all. We've lost our democratic aspirations. We've been culturally organized not to rebel, to go with the program, to accede to the dominant narrative. We've been instructed in deference. And as a society, we have largely resigned. Not you, of course, but in general. This resignation is a public manifestation of a private loss, a decline in what people think they have the political and social right to. My vision for the future of agriculture, then, is that as a society, we acknowledge this loss. We know it, we feel it, and we work to reverse it. We reclaim individual self-respect. We reclaim personal empowerment. But where do we start? We've become so overwhelmed and so complacent in so many areas of life. Food and agriculture, they're just two of many. The good news is, these are two that we can have a direct and meaningful impact. How? By withdrawing our participation from the industrial food system.
Right.
Don't give them your money. Don't give them your time. Don't eat their garbage. Not at home, not in a restaurant, not at the grocery store, not at Thanksgiving at Aunt Helen's, not at the church potluck. Always and everywhere, say no to crappy food. For yourself, right? For yourself, for your children, for your grandchildren. Say no to food that's raised in a system that exploits the environment, exploits animals, exploits workers, and make a distinction. Especially you farmers, be loud and clear about what farming is and about what farming is not. And it won't be easy. And that brings us back to the story. Like the peasant woman, we too are compelled to look in the light for what we have lost. Too often, her full moon is our political system. Working the politics is familiar, it's comfortable, there seems to be a roadmap, a course to follow. But my friends, remember, the earring, it's in the house. Now don't get me wrong, the politics is important and I admire all who struggle in this area. The politics will have to change, they will, but they will not drive the change. Why? Because at its core, this is not a political problem. This is a heart problem. This is a mind problem. This is a behavior problem. I'd go as far to say this is a spiritual problem. Who we put in office matters, but what we put on our plates matters more. The 20th century German theologian Dietrich Bonhoeffer said, "If you board the wrong train, it's no use running down the corridor in the opposite direction." Well, guess what? This country boarded the wrong train, and many of us are running down the corridor, warning politicians, trying to convince them, change them, their system, their laws. It's frustrating, it's exhausting, it's demoralizing, and we really thank CCI and other groups who struggle and fight on our behalf. But for so much effort and time, there is relatively little payoff. We're so busy running against this objectionable system that we tend to forget that this wasn't done to us. We are here because of choices consumers made and continue to make. We are not victims. We are not powerless. In fact, we have the most power as consumers. You can choose every day with every meal to exercise your will against the industrial food system. Every dollar you withhold from factory farms, every dollar you spend on sustainable produce, humanely raised meat, dairy, eggs, is a demonstration of your power through better choices. So how do we achieve a vision? My suggestion is simply this. Run against the train if you must. Do what you can. But get a new ticket. Get a different ticket. In fact, get a whole bunch of tickets and give one to everyone in your life. Say no to industrial food, and it will be inconvenient sometimes. At times it will be socially uncomfortable. Sometimes it'll be more expensive. But resist the urge to simply look under the light. Move into those dark and quiet places, off stage, where the harder work is done. Within the self, person to person, and in challenging the dominant culture, in changing patterns and lifestyles. Be consistent, be disciplined, be responsible, set an example. Put your fork where your values are. Be courageous and a confident consumer and challenge all those around you to be the same. Don't struggle and wait for a change or a victory in your lifetime, in a decade, or once a year. You can have a victory every day, a moral and personal victory with your food choices. Be an evangelist for good food and responsible agriculture. Change yourself, Change your food, and you'll begin to change the world. Thank you.